Welcome, my friends. Welcome to Taxation is Theft, the show that talks about all the ways the government is ripping you off. Broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube from an underground bunker deep within the jungles of Mexico. I'm Dan, Taxation is Theft Berman, former candidate for President of the United States, and I'm currently running for Governor of Texas, which is, some people like to call me an anarchist. I don't like to use that word, but it's weird that an anarchist would be running, or somebody who's called an anarchist is running for a position in government, don't you think? I'm required by law to tell you that this show is known to the state of California to cause cancer. Listen at your own risk. My guest today, Davie Parrish. He's running for tax collector of Colombia County, Florida. Tax collector? What am I doing with a tax collector on the show? Or the candidate for tax collector? You're going to find out in a minute. This is actually really interesting. You're going to like this. Before we get started, of course, I want to take a quick moment to ask for your support. If you can head over to taxationistheft.cards and buy a t-shirt, buy a hat, buy a flag, buy any of our little gizmos and gadgets and things, buy our swag. Anything you do goes to support this show. It also goes to support all of my campaigns and to make sure that I'm doing my thing to make sure we're spreading liberty around the world and putting an end to taxation before the IRS can shut us down. And now, on to the show. Davie, welcome.
How's it going?
It's going good. Tax collector. What were you thinking, man?
Well, I too am an anarchist, so...
I didn't say I was an anarchist. I just said I was called an anarchist.
Oh, well, I'm a proud ANCAP, so...
I prefer voluntarist.
Well, that doesn't ruffle people's feathers enough.
Yeah. But I'm trying to win elections so we can fix it from the inside.
I'm trying to change people's minds.
Yes. Oh, so you're into mind control. Well, let me introduce you to my friend Hillary Clinton and Bill Gates.
MK Ultra.
Yeah, we've got some really awesome projects going on that you'd be interested in. So what made you decide on tax collector?
Well, it's kind of funny. One day I was, because I chaired the local county affiliate, and I called the supervisor of elections to see what offices are up for election this year. And as she was going through the list, she said, "Okay, and the following are partisan races." And the first one she said was tax collector. I'm like, "Well, that's done. What does it take to get on the ballot here?"
Ding, ding.
Yeah, I'm like, so what does it take to get on the ballot?
Who is Davie Parrish?
And then I'm like, all right, so it's either like almost $6,000 or you can qualify by petition, which it was 404 petitions. I'm like, oh, I can do that. That's no problem. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make that happen, and I'm going to, kind of rip off my good friend over here and plaster everything with taxation is theft.
Nice. So, it's $6,000 to get on the ballot for a county level position is kind of a lot.
Yeah.
Is that normal in Florida?
Yeah, it is now because all of our constitutional officers, and that is one of the constitutional officer positions, all of those are partisan races, and partisan races are much more expensive.
I see, because they figure you have a big wealthy party backing you that would pay for that for you.
Oh, well, actually, let me interject on that. That is actually the nonpartisan price tag to get in the race, because the Libertarian Party of Florida does not assess party fees. So it's actually like around $8,000 or something like that to get on the ballot if our party assessed the party fee.
Wow. Now, of course, if you are the incumbent tax collector, you have plenty of stolen money that you can use to pay for that.
Of course I do.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, of course, some people will say, well, like, yeah, but that's illegal. They can't use the government's money. But yeah, they're probably taking a salary, which comes from that very same pot of gold stolen from the people.
Exactly.
So, okay, now you had my attention before when I saw you wearing this really awesome taxationist theft tie.
Yeah.
That was really awesome.
Yeah, I got it in a really cool place.
That's where'd you get that?
I think it was taxationistheft.cards.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I've seen their website. They've got some really awesome stuff. Um,
Yeah, highly recommended.
yeah, wouldn't it be awesome if like every libertarian candidate would wear that tie?
I think it should be standard, and if they don't, they shouldn't be libertarian candidates anymore.
Right. Oh, maybe we should petition taxationistheft.cards to give free ones out to all of the candidates and see if they
Um,
would. Yeah, maybe
that
that would
would
help.
rock.
And then they should also wear like an accompanying hat that maybe not
Well, see,
that
I
one.
didn't want to rip you off completely. I thought about getting a tricorn.
um, so now you did this other really awesome project that was like, and this one blew my mind because this like this was like, did you get any press off of it? You went out and set up some really awesome billboards.
Oh, yeah, okay. Um, so I ordered some signs and put them right next to my opponent's. And mine are all black. His is boring and blue and green or something like that. And just, it's like, oh, look at this guy who has worked in the office for 30 years. He wants to be the next tax collector. And mine are all black and gold and say taxation is theft at the top. And yeah, and I put mine right next to his. And I just one day posted a offhand picture of it on Facebook, and it went a little wild.
Yeah. Um, I mean, the only way I'm thinking you could one up yourself is if you stuck like so his sign was on the left, your sign was on the right. If you stick another sign on the left side, I might donate a few dollars if you did this. Put another sign on the left side so he's in the middle of your two signs. But the one on the left side, you should be like pointing to him and say, "This guy wants to rob you blind."
You know what? Okay, sure. I actually do have so it's kind of another funny thing. There's no income at this year. They're retiring. So the Republicans had three candidates. The two ladies that lost to the guy who is going on to the general election to face me. Uh, Both of them have endorsed me and are letting me use their frames for their signs.
Wait. So, oh no, you're saying the guys who lost in the primaries
Yeah,
are
yeah,
endorsing you.
yeah.
Which like, and they're from other parties.
They are both of them are Republicans. Yeah,
Wow, that's pretty awesome. So
yeah.
why do they hate this other guy so much? Like,
Um,
why aren't they sticking to the party line?
oh, that is all inner office drama, is what that one is. Because they all three of them worked in the tax collector's office.
Hmm.
So,
So they were just like, if I can't have it, you can't either.
yeah, pretty much.
I mean, do they
Yeah.
support you? Do they support what you stand for? I mean, I can't imagine they do if they're Republicans, but are they like actually supporting you, or are they just endorsing you just to piss the other guy off?
The latter. We've had some interesting conversations. I have got one of them to say, you know what, you make some really good points. This, how, how can we just let our money be taken? And it's not really right.
Right.
But then they also go back to but I mean, we do need some infrastructure and, the roads argument.
But it's like, okay, this is where I've come to with that is that yes, I get it. Okay, fine. You want to have roads, you want to have infrastructure, you want to have these things. That's freaking wonderful. So raise money like everybody else. Get a job
Yeah.
or do something useful that people want to pay for. I mean, Time Warner has infrastructure all over the country, and they didn't have to tax anybody. They might have had some subsidies here and there, but they didn't have to tax
Right.
anybody. Amazon, FedEx, all these companies have infrastructure. Southwest Bell, whatever I don't know. Like I'm trying to go old school with like whatever those phone companies are called. T-Mobile, Verizon, Sprint.
Right. Yeah,
They
they put up
have
their towers. They didn't need tax dollars to do it.
nothing. This is national infrastructure. And imagine if they had to compete with government who was stealing money to put up free cell phone towers. They would just be like, yeah, screw that. Someone's already doing it. Why would I bother?
Yeah.
It's I made this interesting tweet today. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it to you because
Okay.
it's almost poetic. Um, oh
I've
look,
actually.
I'm streaming live on Twitter.
Oh, nice. I've actually got a quote too that I've been telling people whenever they just don't like the idea of libertarianism, just because it's too radical, too um, I don't know, whatever they want us to call it. Like, libertarianism is not about a utopia. It's the best way to manage the chaos. We're not promising you anything except a chance that you can prove yourself.
That's interesting. I like that. Yeah, and it's and you're bringing me full circle back to this book that I'm always promoting, In Defense of Chaos,
Hmm.
by L.K. Samuels, a libertarian out in California. He's not paying me to promote his book, but I like this is one of those books that like I don't know. I guess I get all Ron Pauly over it.
Hmm.
Um, it's amazing because it's really about that, and it's about how the world, the universe, and everything is in chaos. And this guy's like he studied chaos theory and all this other stuff, so he relates how that is. But he talks about like animal culture, like ant civilizations, um, Somalia, like everything, and how it all relates to chaos, and how you can't control chaos, and when you try to control chaos, all you're doing is like when Bugs Bunny sticks his finger in the end of the gun, it's like you're
Yeah.
not going to stop the gun from going off. You're just going to redirect the explosion, and
Okay.
that's really what the government's doing. Whenever it tries to control something, whenever it tries to we're going to save all these lives by locking down the country and making everybody wear masks, and now everybody's killing themselves from suicide instead. Um,
Well,
it's
at least it wasn't COVID, right?
yeah. So okay, so this is what I said, and this you made me think of this earlier by what you said. You didn't get to vote on creating an income tax or how much it would be. You didn't get to vote to start the war on drugs or invade other countries. You didn't get to vote to have a driver's license or birth certificates or social security. So stop pretending this is a democracy. Um, that was yeah. That's I
Yeah.
yeah.
We did not consent.
Exactly, and it's fascinating that it's so obvious once you hear it, but it's like sometimes you're just so brainwashed it takes you a few times to hear it before you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Actually, I think I got a T-shirt from taxationistheft.cards as well that says just because you receive something in return does not mean you're not robbed. And
Nice.
that wearing that T-shirt has sparked a lot of conversation with people. And
Wow.
yeah, they're like, you know what? Like it took me a minute to read it, but yeah, you actually got a good point there.
I'm gonna have to. That's one of the ones I actually haven't worn around because I thought it was like too. I don't know. I thought it was too wordy. I thought taxation as theft was simpler, but yeah, if you're getting some, yeah, I might have to get me one of those.
Yeah, I like it.
And yeah, awesome. So so what's the plan? I mean, are you going to like if you get elected, when you get elected, are you actually going to like do your job and collect taxes?
All right, so that's another funny thing. The job of the tax collectors is not really collecting taxes. You're essentially the chief
Fucking
administrator.
shenanigans.
You're administrator of the money that's stolen. The county commissioners are the ones who set the tax rate, collect the taxes, all the above. So what I can actually do, um, which will benefit people, is well, first let me say what I won't do. I won't stop um, doing driver's license and things like that because I refuse to harm people. And if people don't have their driver's license, and if they're in another city, granted, in our county, everyone will know this. The tax collector is not, into this. So sorry about your luck. But if they're in another town or city or state and they don't have it, they'll be harmed by the state because their tax collector's just decided that he's not doing it. So I wouldn't do something that harms the people here. But what I will do is I'll no longer allow the office of the tax collector to take someone's property for taxes owed. I may not be able to set the rate or um, even have any say in any of that, but I won't take your
So you're
money.
talking about like seizures and levies.
Right. So once they do what do they call it? The tax deed sales.
Mm-hmm.
So for back taxes owed, you can pay someone's uh, back taxes, and then in 2 or 3 years, you own their property because you paid the taxes.
Right.
That's just
Yeah, that's
using the government to steal for you.
that's pretty shady. Yeah, there's actually a woman who was going through that right now in Texas,
Mm.
and they, I mean, it's like all kinds of shenanigans. Basically somebody working for the government wanted her property. So, and this isn't just like like any old house in the
Mm.
suburbs or something. It's like it's one of the houses. I guess she's got like some acreage or something, and they basically they basically stole all her money, made her broke. I'm gonna have her on the show in a couple weeks. And
Mm.
then she couldn't pay the taxes, and then they gave her like $1 million past due tax bill, and then they set it up for auction, and of course this guy came in and bought it for like 50 grand or 100 grand, and so the condition is like you said, because I just found out about this. This is why I was interested that you said it. Like it takes 2 or 3 years. There's like a grace period where the original homeowner can buy back their house if they can within the next 2 or 3 years come up with the money to repay what the person paid at auction. Is that the same thing in Florida?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay.
And so I've had a lot of conversation with people on that one, that specifically, um, just because we don't have a lot of money in this area. Just it's not a rich area. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's a small town. We've got 43,000 registered voters in our entire county. Um, it's not very much, and I think the average income somewhere around 30,000. So a lot of people have had their properties taken from them or know someone who has. Um, which the idea that government gets to set how much money you owe, they get actually, first of all, they tell you how much your property's worth, not that it's their business how much it's worth. And
Right.
then they tell you that you owe an arbitrary dollar amount to them just for owning that property. Would you ever accept that if they said the same thing about your TV or your cell phone? Hell no. Nobody's going to accept that. So why are we accepting it for the dirt that we live on?
Right. Now, there's a couple things I want to point out that I'm always pointing out, but I have to because this is to. I mean, there are still probably more than 300 million people who don't know this. Um, First is when people complain about the rent is too damn high. I love saying that. And then they hear, oh, somebody's gotten their house taken away. Well, I'm not going to cry any tears for them because I've never owned a house of my own. That person
Okay.
no longer has a house. They lost all their savings. They lost all the money they put into the house. And so now they're going to have to rent. And what that
Yeah.
means is there are now more people competing for apartment buildings, which of course means the rent is going up. This is not a good thing for you if you do not own, if you have to rent, this is not a good thing for you. The
Of
other
course
thing
not.
is, what was the other thing? I need a notepad. I totally forgot what the other thing was. But yeah, it's because it's the whole eat the rich kind of thing. And it's like yeah, but this is like it all trickles, the shit rolls downhill. Um
With a basic understanding of economics, I mean, you can understand why that's not good for any of us. Um,
I hate
Competition's good everywhere, but the problem is when there's a lot of people looking um, like you're saying, when a lot of people are needing to rent because they just lost their house because of whatever,
mhm.
well, prices go up because there's only so much supply, just simple supply and demand on that.
Well,
And
I
then,
mean, you can look at it too as like, okay, so like the main the main thing about competition that's really good for everybody is choices, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has choices. And the main thing that sucks about monopolies is the lack of choices, right? And if the choice of owning a home is being taken away from you, I understand it's not a monopoly in the sense that, you have the renters and the buyers and you're creating a monopoly where it's just renters because they're not really selling you the same thing. But it is taking away options, which I think is ultimately the evil of monopolies, especially when it's done by force. So
I don't think monopolies can actually exist without government, though.
Right. I mean, you've got companies like Apple that try to by, they have a monopoly on their charge cables because they put a little microprocessor in it. So like if you buy a bootleg one, it won't work. It won't charge your phone. They try to do shit like that. But at the end of the day, it's like, but they can't prevent other people from making new phones or computers or anything else that
Right.
you could just totally get out of that ecosystem.
Yeah, and if IP was also abolished, uh, anyone can just reverse engineer it and figure out that little chip and put it in there.
Maybe. They've been fighting that hard, though. I've got this camera that I'm running, actually. They put the chips in the batteries, so you can't buy bootleg batteries. And because of that, this pissed me off, man, because I'm like, okay, like there's no sense in having batteries for a podcast camera, right? So I got an AC adapter for it. I got the bootleg one on Amazon, which was like $20. It lasted for about a year, and then it died, and I had to get another one. If I want the original one from Canon, and I'm going to call you out, Canon, because this is really fucked up that you did this. Because the AC charger basically goes into the battery slot, and if it doesn't say, hey, I'm a battery, and have the magic secret code that the battery has, it won't turn on. And so if I wanted, I found a good bootleg one that works. Luckily, but it was a crapshoot because I don't know if it actually works. A lot of the reviews on Amazon were like 80% said it worked, 20% said it did it. So it's kind of like, oh fuck. But the kit that Canon sells is like $100 or $150 for an AC adapter. Like for something that literally you can go get something at like Walmart for like $10 that converts AC to DC, so you can rock out while you're converting your electricity, and like that's it. And they sell it for like absolute rip-off prices. It's insane. But anyways, we're talking about taxes.
There's a lot of rabbit holes to go down.
Yeah. Monopolies can exist. I'm reading a comment. Monopolies can exist without government. They rather could not make harm without government. Monopoly is a normal type of the market.
I disagree. Monopolies only exist because they have the force of the government backing them. If they weren't backed by government force, then anyone could make any product or go into any market and try to compete. Just because they're not successful doesn't mean that they can't try and compete.
Right. And I mean, I suppose you could have a company that sells a product and just nobody else wants to compete with them.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, there's probably nobody buying the product either. I guess technically that would be a monopoly. It would be a mono something.
Well, I guess it depends on how you define monopoly.
Right. Let's see what Webster says. No, I don't care what Webster says. Webster's an asshole.
I guess I kind of define it more of something that's no one else is allowed to enter that market space.
Right. And that's the use of force. That's the and it's interesting because it's manifested in many different ways. Like you can have you're not allowed to sell you're allowed to plant and grow peanuts, but you're not allowed to sell them unless you have a license. The license is $50 million.
Right.
Right? So it's like, oh no, anybody's allowed to enter the marketplace. You just need the appropriate license. What's wrong with that? Typical statist rhetoric. But then you have nobody is allowed to make this product ever at all except for us, that's what you usually see like in communism. Mexico's kind of got that with, well, not anymore. They used to with their gas. They used to have their gas, their telco companies like that used to all be monopolized. In the U.S., they kind of do that with they kind of do that, but they're very like deceptive about it because like cannabis, right? Nobody can grow cannabis unless you're a pharmaceutical company, but then they just don't call it cannabis, right? It's like synthetic. So it's something else. It's totally different. It's not bad. It's not going to get you hooked. You're not going to turn into like a sex-crazed teenage psychopath murderer.
Wait,
Like,
I think that's what the synthetics do.
Oh. which is ironic. It's all about marketing, people. It's all about perception. People who say taxation is not theft is using the special pleading fallacy. You know about that one?
I don't know what that
The special
is.
pleading fallacy. Oh, that's probably because, but we need roads. There's a special reason that we need this. Often result of strong emotional beliefs that interfere with reason. Oh, no, I'm totally off. If X, then Y, but not when it hurts my position. Oh, yeah. So
it's just because they're not backed by principles. They're just backed by populism and wanting to be elected and saying whatever they think that will get them elected.
That's different. That's not the same thing. Special pleading is an informal fallacy wherein one cites something as an exception to a general rule or universal principle without justifying the special exception. There's the application of the double standard. Used battery says, I make veggies and I will be the kingpin of the black market vegetable mafia, selling carrots for dirt cheap and dodging cops in the forest as they raid my cornfields. That's interesting. So, back to what kind of success and reactions are you having with your campaign?
Kind of success and reactions.
Yeah, you getting good? Are you out door knocking? I mean, I guess you can't because of Corona, but like.
Well, I'm going. Hopefully, towards the end of the month, I'll have door hangers in and ready to go, and just going to go start hanging them on doors. Depends on how other things go. Maybe send out mass text, some mailers, things of that nature.
If you're in Florida, you need to volunteer for Davie's campaign because these door hangers, just like Jeffrey Epstein, won't hang themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. But for as far as success goes, I mean, I've made the paper a couple times.
Awesome.
And I know for a fact my signs really bother my opponent. I've even had a few signs stolen, so there's that.
Yeah, I heard. You never set up a camera to monitor any of those, right?
No, I can't really. There's no where to set up a camera and not be a criminal for it.
Well, I mean, I won't tell if you won't tell.
Right. Yeah, but
I always thought the problem is like,
will.
Yeah, I just see the problem as like, okay, you're gonna need to get like a really good like one of those hunting cameras, and you have to know which sign is gonna get stolen.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you have a lot of them, that's not so easy.
It's not. Especially those cameras are like at least $40-$50 a piece.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you can't just buy like 100 of them and stick them all over town. Although it would be really awesome if, and nobody listening to the podcast is going to hear this, but it would be really awesome if you did set one up and then just like got like a Bigfoot costume, stole one of your own signs.
That's awesome.
Like, that's why we never hear, but that's why we never see Bigfoot, because he's a tax evader. I don't know how that works out.
I mean, Halloween's coming up, so.
Yeah. Yeah. California, I was just reading today, California has a ban on trick or treating.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
So,
interesting.
yeah, trick or treaters will be shot. Maybe. I don't know.
Wait. I thought they didn't have guns in California.
Oh, yeah, only the government. Um,
Oh, that's unfortunate. That's the
yeah,
people
just
who
like,
need it the least.
yeah. And, no, but it's, what's like super ridiculous about this is that it's okay to go out in public if you're wearing a mask. Just,
And Halloween's all about wearing masks.
just, just not if you're asking for candy, I guess.
Oh
Uh,
man. So an interesting thing, they have not yet canceled, and they have said they are still planning on letting our county fair happen this year, which happens the weekend of Halloween
just let it
to
happen.
like the first weekend of November. So I'm like, contemplating getting a table at
Do
the
it.
fair.
Do
But
it.
yeah, I guess I need to do it. But it's
You should, in fact, you should set up a table with like like I don't know, do something like get a megaphone and be like, step right up and pay your taxes, and then like when people come up there and say like, hey, I want to pay my taxes, be like, no, yours are free. Do something crazy like that.
yeah,
Or,
that'd be fun.
or just bring a paper shredder and it'd be like, shred your taxes.
Oh my God, that's a great
Drop
idea.
your taxes in the shredder. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Or just have
Yeah,
like
if there's an electrical hookup, I'll definitely do that. That's hilarious.
yeah, you can get them battery operated.
Oh, nice. Yes, I might have to do this.
I think I don't know. I've never been much of a big paper person. My wife's had one in her office. I don't remember if it was battery powered or not. Um, yeah, but that's actually a great way to. I mean, yeah, I need to get to the Texas Fair for my race as soon as that happens, which I need to probably Google that.
If it
Um,
happens.
yeah, right. But
Texas is pretty back and forth lately, so
yeah. Well, what's interesting is when I drove across when I drove cross country to get from one side of Texas to the other,
yeah.
um, we stopped at like a lot of the small towns, and the small towns were like they didn't give a fuck. Nobody was wearing masks. Nobody really cared, and it was just like, yeah, it was just like, yeah, you're not gonna come around my town and tell me to wear a mask. Um,
That sounds like my county, dude.
so that was really awesome. I like that. But then I got to the big cities, and it was like, holy shit! I was in San Antonio, and like the cops were. I saw one police car. He had just like finished writing a ticket, got in his car, started driving, and like within like 30 seconds, pulled somebody else over. And I saw just driving back and forth up the main highway. I saw like 3 or 4 different cops within like a half an hour.
Well, I mean, there's less people on the road, so you gotta get that revenue.
Yeah, there's less. I mean, we don't have an income tax, but I would imagine probably less parking tickets, less.
Yeah.
I don't know, less sales in general, less sales tax.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's absolutely nuts. Yeah, Texas has a property tax, which is not. It's not property like on your property, like on real estate property. It's property on like property, like proper property. My friend had an office, and he was telling me he had this like really nice desk. He probably spent like a fortune on it, like 10 grand or something ridiculous, like all like I don't know mahogany or something. And he had to pay a tax every year just for owning that desk.
Wait. Well, hold on. So the thing that I made a joke about earlier is real in Texas.
Yes.
Well, that blows my mind.
And like I'm
That's
like, wait,
insane.
is this like cuz like I don't pay taxes on any of my furniture.
How
Is
do
it
they
because he
know
had
what
a
furniture I
business?
have?
I
Is
don't
that a
know.
thing for a business tax?
I don't know. I got to find out some more info on
Like
that.
maybe
But
a
it's
capital tax?
yeah, but it's like but yeah, to your point, how do they know? And like maybe they have a snitch system, right? Like where the guy who sells it to you like has to pay extra in sales tax unless he reports all the people he sells it to. But then what if he's like saying, "Oh yeah, no, I'm selling these to people who are taking them out of my store and into Arizona or something." Um,
So
it's
like
fucking
that just blows my mind completely. I didn't think that was honestly
yeah.
conceivable.
I gotta do some more. I gotta do some more research and don't quote me on that, but it is
Because I mean,
pretty
how the hell do we buy something at a yard sale?
right. Well, and like he was talking about his desk too, so I would think like small items they wouldn't really care about. I mean, like think about it, like cars, homes, like all that kind of stuff. Like that's where they have like an annual tax. Like little things, like they would never
Sure.
charge you tax on a pencil or something like that.
Yeah, don't
Make
put
sure
it
you
past them.
register your pencils. They could be used to kill somebody. You never know. Um, but yeah, it's and this is
If that is
people
real, I mean, Texans love guns, so would they ever allow that to happen to their guns? Absolutely not. I would
to
hope.
be registered. Yeah, no,
To pay a
no, you don't
tax on
have
your gun every year because that means they know what you have.
right. Yeah, and this is the thing, and I can go back to the Walking Dead example where these people when they had the what was it, Alexandria, the little suburb
Mm,
town. Um, they had, they were like, oh, everything's happy and normal and everything. Nobody needs to carry around guns, so let's keep them all locked up in the armory.
mm.
And they had like a book that was like, just to keep track. Like that, nobody was trying to do anything. Nobody was trying to confiscate guns from anybody. They were just like, yeah, let's just keep them in a safe place. We're safe here. But then they got taken over by Negan, who was and this is analogous to oh, I totally trust Trump. I would let him register all my guns. But it's like Trump's only going to be in office
Uh,
at most another 4.5 years.
yeah.
So who's the next guy going to be? It could be Biden. It could be Hillary Clinton.
I
You
mean,
don't know
Trump
who the
hasn't
next
been that
person
good
is.
on guns anyways.
Exactly. But benefit of the doubt here.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. Like, even if you trust the current president, whoever it is, if you allow them to create that list of what you have, the next tyrant who takes over that office is going to be able to do whatever malicious deeds they want because they have that information. It's like you're giving. This is extremely. Maybe this is the way to look at it. This is extremely, extremely, extremely valuable, sensitive information, and you might trust the current government, but the government is always changing. You might trust the current elected politicians, but you don't know who the next ones are going to be. So why would you hand that information over to somebody who is later going to hand that over to somebody else who you don't even know?
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Is
Yeah.
that a good argument?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if
I mean, would a statist buy it?
I mean, I don't know, dude. I can't even imagine how they think anymore. It's just so out there. Um, they're letting people tell them that they have to wear a mask in their damn car by themselves. So I don't know. I can't even imagine how they think.
So I've got someone commenting. John is saying the property tax in Texas is not true, but
That's good.
special inventory. No, that's not it because it's not inventory. Special. I gotta have to look this up. Because this is, and I know, like, when anybody, I mean, this guy was a lawyer, so I would think, like, but at the same time, I taught him a ton of shit he didn't know about the law. um, so, but yeah, I mean, he was getting a bill for it, so I got to figure out what that is. But like, maybe it was just part of a business tax, and they tax you on how much, if you have a fleet of cars, they're going to charge
Mm,
you a tax on those cars every year, like
right.
the same as like a license registration, that kind of thing. So maybe it had to do with that, and they're just I don't know. I don't know. I could just be talking out of my ass. Don't listen to me,
I
guys.
mean, it's still creepy either way.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, and like the government knows this. They send you a bill and you pay it, and like if you don't understand it, you pay it. And if you're one of those people that's like maybe how I used to be like 10 years ago, you might call them up and ask them to explain it. And you're going to say, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And then you're going to pay it.
Yeah.
And they know, like, they can, like, because here's the thing, right? Everybody pays it because they're afraid. They're afraid that, well, I don't want to be the one guy that they come after. Right?
The
Like,
IRS
I know they can't
scariest.
go after everybody.
Yeah, I mean, but the IRS is the scariest branch of government to me.
They're not. I am not that afraid of them anymore.
No?
It's
Well,
taken me a while. I mean, yeah, I was scared shitless. Believe me, I used to be afraid to say taxation is theft. I used to be afraid to post that shit on the internet because I was like, yeah, the feds are probably monitoring everything. And this was like back in MySpace days.
no.
So like I used to be terrified. And like I got into it with the IRS a couple times and I was absolutely terrified. But like after learning everything that I know now and going through the experiences and finding out that like they're really not, I mean they're powerful. Like they have gone into my bank account and emptied it out. And there was nothing I could do to stop it. But but it's like, okay, yeah, but now that we're over that hump, well, now what do
I
you
mean,
gonna
they
do?
only stole all my money, you know. They're not that powerful.
Right. Well, I mean, but here's the thing. So I didn't have a lot of money in the bank, which was fine, and you should never leave all your money in a bank, especially when that bank account has your social security number on it, because that's one thing. They cannot take your money if it does not
Yep.
have your social security number on it, which is why it's so difficult to open a bank with that one. Um,
Oh, that's interesting.
but, well, it wasn't before 9/11, but now it's even worse.
Ah.
But yeah, they can't. Even if the names match, they don't know if it's another person with the same basic. But here's the other thing: when you go to a bank and they ask you for your social security number or tax ID, why or tax ID? Because they're not trying to identify you. They're trying to fill out a field on your bank account that is
Mm.
not labeled social security number or identification number. It's labeled taxpayer ID.
Mm.
So basically, they're calling you a taxpayer by putting that number in there, and they're not supposed to. They're not supposed to do that, or you're supposed to be able to say I'm not a taxpayer or any of that stuff. But of course, you're talking to bank people who probably have software that if you leave the field empty, won't even let them submit it. So there's that. Whether or not that's the law, it's not like you can call up a branch manager and tell them to override that because that's what the software is. You'd have to go through the software company, and the software company and their lawyers are going to say, oh, we can't change that. That would affect hundreds of millions of customers. Yeah, so it's really the whole thing's really fucking interesting. But yeah, so people get afraid and they pay. So it would be really nice to have a guy like you saying, yeah, don't pay.
I mean, at least for the term I'm in there, your property's not getting stolen. I can't help you after after I get out.
That's actually a really good point. So let's say somebody's like, oh well, Davey's the tax collector. He's not going to steal my house, but they're not paying their taxes, and then somebody else gets elected, and now they have 4 years. What's the term? 2 years? 4 years?
Something of that nature. I think it's
So
3 years.
now
Yeah.
they got 4 years of back taxes,
Yeah.
and now it's like, oh shit, this new guy's a fucking tyrant, and he wants to take my house. Can you do anything to avoid that? Can you
No.
Can you zero out their account? Can you say
Well,
accepted?
I'll say this. I don't have access to those records right now,
Mm-hmm.
but if I was given access to those records, I mean, if one day they just aren't there,
Delete,
I
delete.
can't help what happens. Libertarians are really bad at boating, so if I take those records on a boating trip, I don't know what happens.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. That could do it. That could do it.
I
I
think
mean,
they were fully caught up from what I recall.
You could do like an offer and compromise thing. Like he brought me um, banana bread cupcakes, which I accepted as offer and compromise for his $800,000 tax bill. And actually, if you did that, that would include you'd actually be setting them free for several future years. Imagine if you gave
This is
them a
true.
tax credit.
Yeah. Everyone gets tax credits here.
Tax credits of it. They can't. It's not money they can take and spend anywhere. It just makes sure that they can never be taxed again.
Right. That'd rock.
Transferable. Well, you probably couldn't make them transferable or something like that, because that would require a law change to
But it
make it
would
transferable.
absolutely incentivize people to not elect tyrants.
Yeah, yeah. We need to elect a not a tyrant to stay in this office and keep this thing going.
I mean, if a better libertarian wants to run against me, or someone who wants to make people more free, which, dude, I would love it if we
I
could
would
just
tell
have.
them to run in the county over.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, hey, if that's the case, I mean, I'll move a county over. I don't care. If they're
Right.
really stuck on want to be here, that's fine.
Now, can you run? Can you run in two counties at the same time?
No.
There's got to be a way to do that.
I'm sure someone can figure that out.
I mean, it's not like you're going to be extremely busy at your job.
No, not at all.
You could probably handle like 10 or 20 counties. Oh man. All right. Well, what else have you got going on with your campaign?
What else do I've got
Let's
going on?
tell us. What can we do? What's your
Um,
website? How can we get involved? How can we help you out?
well, my website is colombiatheftcollector.com. And
Theft
yeah,
collector.
yes, you heard that right. It's colombiatheftcollector.com. Um, what to help out? I mean, if you're in Florida, I need as many people hands to help pass out door to, hang door hangers. Sounds kind of weird saying it like that, but yeah, put door hangers up and just push that message into people's face.
Politely.
I mean, make them uncomfortable. I don't really care. I mean, you know, don't
As long as
violate
they
the nap, but
right.
you know.
Make sure the message is heard.
Yeah.
Write it in chalk on their driveway.
Yeah. Do the
Oh.
Adam Kokesh thing and go and pressure wash
Oh
into
yeah, that
the
would be awesome.
sidewalk.
That would be
Only on
awesome.
public property though. Don't
Or
mess with
like
private property.
the Black Lives Matter,
Yeah.
that giant painting they did on
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah.
oh yeah, we got to do that.
That would be awesome.
Can we do that on the highway? We'd have to do that like, you remember Kramer when he was like painting over the lines, and he was like, he had the door open and he's just rolling down the street with his arm hanging out with a roller.
Yeah, you'd have to do that fast.
Yeah. Yeah, we could get like a. I mean, I would imagine they have to have by now some sort of like a 3D, not like a 3D printer, but like a printer that like prints in like road paint that you get like hook up to the back of a car. So just as you drive, it just like sprays in the proper areas to put down a message.
Sounds
If not, we
high
need to
tech.
totally make that.
Oh yeah. That'd rock.
I'm gonna get on my Chinese connection website right now and see what I can find. Because that would be awesome. And I'm not talking about doing anything illegal, of course.
No, no, no. I mean, it is our property. We
That is a
are
good
the
point.
people, so it is our property.
That is a good point. Um, or maybe we could do it in like something that would wash away in the rain. I don't know. Then because that's kind of what Kokesh got away with because he he wasn't destroying public property. He was
He
cleaning
was
it.
cleaning it.
Yeah, yeah. He's actually. I'm gonna have him on tomorrow for
Oh,
9/11.
nice.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
awesome. All right. Well, man, this has been an awesome show. It's been very chill, but I enjoyed this conversation very
Same.
much.
Same.
So I want to. I feel like I haven't done you enough justice, and I want to reiterate: everybody, go volunteer. Go to ColombiaTheftCollector.com and register to volunteer. Make a donation so we can get some more signs out there. So that we can make a splash at the state fair, county fair, state fair.
Yeah, county fair.
And yeah, let's do this. Let's help Davie out because this is really an awesome campaign. I think if you liked any of my campaign, what came out of my campaign, I think Davie's doing a really awesome job delivering that same impactful, heartfelt, important message that taxation is theft.
Such a simple message that I
So
just
simple.
don't understand why I don't see everywhere.
It should be everywhere.
Yes.
Should be everywhere. All right, guys. I also, of course, want to ask you to head on over to taxationistheft.cards and make your donation by buying a T-shirt or something. Help the show out. Help me out. And also
Maybe
head over.
even get yourself a nice tie.
Yeah. Get yourself a nice tie. We have bikinis up there too for the ladies. We have bandanas.
Rad.
Yeah, we got all kinds of awesome stuff. And head over to danforfreedom.com. I'm going to plug that. I haven't really been plugging that yet because I wanted to kind of help the. That was kind of my plan. I wanted to help the Jorgensen campaign until November,
Hmm.
but they've been kind of quiet. I mean, I guess they're on the road doing their thing, so not much. I mean, I've seen a lot of people posting memes and everything, which is awesome. But yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot that I can do with that. So I might just start pushing my own campaign here for 2022. Who knows? We'll see. But head over to Dan for Freedom. Check it out. Get on my mailing list there. And of course, make sure you share, subscribe, print, tax. Sorry, don't tax. Print, share, save, copy. I don't even know what I'm saying. Do all those things you do on social media to make sure everybody gets to this podcast and listens to this, because this is the word, the most important message that
Is your
everyone needs to
podcast put
hear.
out on iTunes and everything?
It is. It's on iTunes. It's on Google, whatever they call it now, Google Play, and
Oh,
Podbean, and all those things. Although I hear
super
there's a few
rad.
more I need to add it to, but it should be everywhere where you get your podcasts from. So go check that out. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Taxation is theft. Say it, say it.
Taxation is theft.
Damn right it is. All right, guys. I'll catch you later next time. See ya.